Hiya, just want to do a review of these two standard zooms, both for a Nikon DX camera, and they're just slightly upmarket to a standard zoom, and it's something you'd be looking for maybe to keep on your camera all the time. Very versatile. First of all, we've got the Nikon AFS Nikon 16-85 f3.5 to 5.6 GED. It's a DX VR lens, and here we have the Sigma DC 17-70 f2.84 macro HSM with OS optical stabilizer. Very similar range. This one, as I say, goes 16-85mm. This one 17-70mm. So a slightly longer reach on this one. Comparison wise then, physical size, weight, etc. As you can see, the Nikon is a little smaller. Sigma a bit bigger. The filter on the Nikon is 67mm, and on the Sigma it's a 72. That's mainly down to the fact that the Sigma's got a wider aperture at all focal lengths. Starts off at 2.8 at 17mm and only closes down to a 4 at 70mm, whereas the Nikon starts off at 3.5 and goes down to 5.6 at 85. So that's why you've got the a bigger wide lens. It is heavier as well, the Sigma. Both nice looking lenses, look nice on your camera. I use it on a DX300S, and they handle quite well. Very similar. I find the zoom on the Nikon a little stiff and not quite so precise as the Sigma. I think the Sigma one's very smooth, and you can really move it. If you're doing video work where you want to video while you zoom in, the Sigma definitely better because it zooms a lot smoother. You can really do it nice and slow and smooth. With the Nikon, on this particular one, it just tends to jump if you're trying to smooth steps. Not as smooth at all. Focusing, the Nikon has this focusing ring here, which you can manual, or you can move it on autofocus and manual focus at any time basically, and the focus ring is nearer to you. It's a nice little rubber ring, and while it's focusing there's no external movement at all on the Nikon. The only movement you see is this window here where you see the distance scale alter. On the Sigma, focusing ring is the outer one, and you have to physically change it from autofocus to manual focus, if you want to manual focus of course, and it's not quite as nice a feel as the Nikon one, and it does actually rotate as well. So when, as you can see, it rotates externally, just the ring, not the end where the filter is, but it does move. So when you autofocus in, the actual end does move, whereas on the Nikon it doesn't. It's all internal. So that's something that might swing you one way or the other. Quality wise, they're very close actually. I brought the Sigma first and then brought the Nikon, thinking it may be better, and when I've done tests I've found the Sigma is definitely better at the wide end. Even wide open at 2.8, it is that little bit sharper than the Nikon. At the telephoto end, when you get to 70 on the Sigma, it is slightly softer than the Nikon. So, but apart from that, they're very similar. Obviously, you're gaining with the Sigma. You've got the wider aperture. So for the slightly wider aperture on the Sigma, you're gaining and you're getting about the same quality of the image, and you're losing half a stop or so on the Nikon. So that's obviously one up for the Sigma. The optical stabilizer, say on the Nikon they call it the VR Sigma OS. I prefer the Sigma. I think the Sigma, they're both as quiet, don't really hear much noise from them, but I think the Sigma gives a better quality stabilised lens. I just seem to be able to handle it at much lower shutter speeds without getting any glare than I do with the Nikon. But again, whether this particular model, I don't know, but that's what I'm finding. Switches then, other switches. On the Nikon, you've got the manual autofocus. As I say, you can basically leave it on MA all the time for manual and auto, so it'll autofocus, and just at any time you can move that manually, or you can have fully manual use if you wish. VR, you've got on or off for the VR. Obviously, you may want to switch it off if you're using it on a tripod, for example. You've also got normal and active, and the normal VR will try to correct on both planes, I believe. The active, it takes into account if you're in a vehicle, for example, moving, and you're trying to shoot from the window out the vehicle, and it takes into account your horizontal movement. Any other controls? No, not on that one. On the Sigma, you've got the OS switch on off. Very straightforward. I always leave it on. I just can't see any benefit of putting it off, except obviously when it's on a tripod. Definitely switch it off then. Otherwise it can actually make it worse, your image. An autofocus on the Sigma, as I said, you have to flick it to manual really to turn that. It not turn at all if you've got it in autofocus. As you can see when you take the caps off, it's quite wider, the Sigma. So you've got the 72mm instead of 67. You zoom them out. As I say, at the shortest focal length first, actually, they're very lengthwise, they're virtually exactly the same. As you can see, the Sigma is a bit wider. When you zoom out, that's the Nikon zoomed out, the Sigma. And again, there's not much in the actual length of the lenses when you're zoomed out, but obviously the Nikon gives you that longer reach to 85 rather than 70. What you do find though is the Nikon won't creep back on the zoom, whereas the Sigma will. It's quite strange really, because there's no lock button for the zoom at all on the Nikon. It doesn't creep either way when you're zooming in or out, whereas with the Sigma there is actually a lock on the 17mm end, so you can't it not move. Well, there's not a lock obviously at the 70mm, but it doesn't tend to creep at the 70 at all. On the 17, sorry, it not creep, which is strange because you've got a lock button for that. But if you've got on the 70, and as you can see, it will creep back, but I don't find that a problem. On the focusing side as well, I thought to mention, if you're talking distance, minimum distance, focal distance, the Nikon goes down to a minimum of 0.38 meters, whereas the Sigma will focus right down to 0.22 meters, which is a lot closer. And at the 70 setting, you're basically that far away from the object when you're focusing, and it does actually give you a macro scale on here as well. It's not a true macro lens, it says macro on it, but it's not a true macro lens, but it does go down at 70 at the closest focusing distance. You're getting a magnification of 1 to the power 2.7, which is very useful, and I say you can get a nice magnification, zoom in your viewfinder and on your prints, and it's very nice quality. So you've got that added benefit that with the Sigma. The main thing I find is the f-stop advantage on the Sigma. Definitely is a great advantage if you do shooting indoors a lot without flash. That just that half a stop or more does make a difference, and is a big advantage for me. And my favourite lens out of these two is actually the Sigma. So I brought that one first. Thought the Nikon might be better, but to me I don't think it is. I don't find it better. So that's my opinion, but obviously different people think different things. So there you go, that's a good look there at the Nikon and the Sigma standard zoom lenses, and I would go for the Sigma. Very good quality lenses, but I think the Sigma is definitely better. Thanks for watching.